Coming up next on Get Caught in a Net.
Get caught in a net with Annette. For your mind, body, and soul. Get caught in a net with Annette. It's your intellectual radio show. Here to inspire you and encourage you to be your very best. Get caught in a net with Annette.
You are now tuned in to Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette, where your hosts, Annette Harris, analyze intriguing life questions and concerns, such as, do Christians suffer from mental illness? Have you wondered why they act abnormal? Or you may ask, what is really going on in their minds? Do you need Annette? Well, keep listening for a biblical understanding of the psychology of the mind.
Great afternoon, guys. Great afternoon. Welcome to another wonderful segment of Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette. Getting a little tongue-tied here. I'm your girl, Annette Harris. Thank you so much for joining us, for watching and or listening on today. Listen, I am your certified positive mental health ambassador, the award-winning author of that bestseller, Surviving a Silenced Heartbeat, and CEO of Get Caught in the Net Incorporated. And I just want to invite you to come in. We are on Facebook Live, Annette Get Caught in the Net, Instagram. I'm looking at all my monitors here. Instagram Live, and also on YouTube. And I thank you so much in advance for joining us. Before I get started, Lord, we thank you for all things. Oh, you are such a mighty God, and I appreciate you. I love you with all my heart, and I pray that you would get the glory out of this segment, everything we go to say and do. Open up our understanding. Give us to know and understand what you would have us to, even on this day. And bless Dr. Hill and the information that she will extend to us, and help us to receive it. In Jesus' name we pray. And the opening part of the scripture, Hosea 4:6 states, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee. And again, I'm grateful to be here. I always say, 12 noon Central Standard Time, you see my face. It's time for you to come on and get caught in the net on a Wednesday. We have been highlighting Women's History Month during, of course, the month of March, acknowledging women and all of their contributions to society, making their own history, or her story, if you will. I have been enjoying all of my guests this entire month. And of course, we are here on our fourth Wednesday with our health and wellness segment. Now, today, I'm excited about this session today because we're going to focus, continue that focus with women on today, and talk about the racial health disparities amongst Black women. So I need you, when you come in, tag, share. Throw up the heart, the care button, the thumbs up, if you would not mind doing that for me. I'm going to do something a little different today before I bring my guest on. She doesn't know this. She's probably going to get me, but that's okay. She'll forgive me. I am going to read a little bit information because I want to recognize this woman of God during Women's History Month. Meet Dr. Shirley Hill. All right, some of you may say, I know her, but hey, just listen. Listen, Dr. Shirley Hill is a natural food hygienist. She earned her certification with honors as a nutrition specialist and educator from Ashworth College in Atlanta, Georgia. Additionally, she holds a PhD in food chemistry. As the wellness administrator for Call Global Nation and Call Community Development, she has been sent all over the United States to care for many leaders. Affectionately called the Apostle of Nutrition, Dr. Hill effectively uses food as medicine, even in the most extreme cases. She has researched, written, and edited, this is important, the role of ministry in disease prevention, the Mingle Seed, and the new face on childcare. She has also developed curriculum for the Ford Motor Company, daycare provider training program, and more. She was a regular guest on TBN's national Doctor to Doctor TV show, of course, Mind, Body, and Soul, monthly wellness program with Annette Harris, as well as the Ask Dr. Ron radio broadcast. She has also taught the Eat to Live nutrition course at Chicago State University and Nutrition's God's Way classes at Trinity Inductive Bible Study College. Look, no, I want to read more. We want to acknowledge her. It was Dr. Hill's pleasure to assist four-time heavyweight champion of the world, Evander Holyfield, back to health and school officials in Marmalade, Haiti, to keep more than 200 children safe from disease during the cholera outbreak. In addition to consulting with A. Kenneth Fowler of Freeport, Grand, Bahamas, to bring a cancer prevention initiative to that country, Dr. Hill is also founder of the National Association of Christian Caregivers and the visiting professor at Call Bible College and Seminary. Her dedication to the health and well-being of others earned Dr. Hill the Black Essence Award in 2010 and the Lady of Distinction Award in 2018. She's a member of the following associations: the American Cancer Society, the American Diabetes Association, the Action for Healthy Kids Connection, Organic Consumers Association, and the Association for Christian Caregivers. There is more to read, but I need you to go to her website to get all the rest of that information. Let me bring her onto stage because she is probably like, girl, what are you doing? Again, we wanted to recognize you in the contributions, to society. And that needs to be acknowledged. We hear you every month here on Mind, Body, and Soul. You have your own live feeds, and many know where to find you, but some probably don't know that back history that I just gave. All right. There's some things in there that I read today. I was like, oh, I didn't realize that. But we thank you. We appreciate you and we acknowledge you. So, how are you doing on this afternoon?
I am doing well, thank you. I'm doing well after the fast. I'm doing real good since I ate, and
Mm-hmm.
the God is good. I must say to you that you're looking exceptionally lovely these days. Um, as a media, how can I put this together? As a exceptional media person and author and sash, whatever goes along with that.
Sash talk. That's right. That's right.
And yes, you are looking. You know how sometimes they say you don't look like what you've been through. Well, you're looking like what you're going through, and you're wearing it well.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yeah, build me up a little bit. That's encouraging. Thank you. Thank you.
You are welcome.
Um, as I already stated, we had so many individuals from the beginning of this month to the end of the month that we acknowledged. We had therapists on. We had, oh my goodness, so many that you all came in and I introduced to you. Some of them you knew, some of them didn't know. I had two therapists on back to back. Um, but, I was looking, Dr. Hill, at, of course, the news, things that are happening all around us. And I've seen probably more so this month than anything about the racial disparities, the health, um, regarding our health as Black women,
Mhm.
and it becomes a concern. It should become a concern, for many of us, so that we could do what we need to do to make sure that we are healthy. But when you're looking at the medical system, if you will, or healthcare system, if you will, it's like we are kind of, I don't know, being tossed around, thrown around, not really being um, helped, acknowledged.
Yes.
And I think that turns people, us women, away sometimes.
Yes.
So I wanted us to kind of talk about this on today. Janice Pritchard, thank you so much. I appreciate you, woman of God, for coming in, liking and sharing. And it looks like you're tagging individuals in as well. So thank you so much. But this, it has to be addressed. My goodness. Of course, the older I get, you start, your mentality starts changing, and you're like, okay, I need to do something. I need to make sure that I'm good physically, because, God wants us whole, mind, body, and soul. Um, so we have to go ahead and address things. And I see so many, you know, um, Black women when they are giving birth, they're not, they're not getting the help they need. I can say
No.
it like this. So, Apostle Sharon, thanks for coming in. I appreciate you. Thanks for joining us. If you wouldn't mind going ahead, you guys that are coming in, go ahead and share if you would not mind this live feed. Individuals may be able to watch it live or come back and watch the recorded version. We're on Instagram again, YouTube, and Facebook. To get caught in that. So where would you like to start with this particular topic, Dr. Hill? Because it is becoming more prevalent.
Yeah.
Um, where would you like to start with this?
I think I would like to start with a little history.
Please
Uh,
do.
yeah, with a little history. Back and everyone is familiar with the story that I am getting ready to tell. So this is just a reminder, and it is just a acknowledgement of her existence and the work that she has, that the work that she has gendered in this area, Black women's health. And that is Henrietta Lacks. Some say Lacks, some say Locks, but I think we all know the Hella cell line is,
Mm-hmm.
or the immortal cells. That is what I am speaking of. This young woman, she was only 31. She was just 31 years old when she passed. And she had spent a year pretty much back and forth in the hospital after having a baby. And she had been misdiagnosed.
Ugh.
And so they had treated her for this particular cancer that she didn't even have. And in the process of all of this that she was going through, they did surgery, because when they took her to, and I don't know why the name of the hospital just left my mind, very, very
Popular.
known hospital,
Mm.
and I will think of it.
Okay.
Um, they took her, did surgery. Hmm. They took her and did surgery on her. And without her knowing, they did two biopsies on her. They did one on the cancer cells and one on her healthy cells. Now, what we don't know, because we're never told as women, is a biopsy. If you are, if you're in, you are scheduled to have a biopsy on a growth, we call it a tumor, you will not know until it has that biopsy has taken place, whether it is benign or whether it is cancerous, the way that we do medicine. And so this biopsy, what I'm trying to make this as simple as possible so that it could be very easily understood. A biopsy is not a problem if the tumor is benign, because that means there are no cancer cells and there are no cancer toxins and poisons in that tumor to be dumped back out or released back out into the bloodstream.
Mm.
But if that tumor has cancer cells in it and cancer toxins and poisons, then you are, with a biopsy, you're in trouble, because the biopsy will dump or release all of those cancer cells, cancer toxins and poisons back into the bloodstream. Now, and that will, the next thing you will hear is you have to go on chemotherapy immediately.
Wow.
And so, you had anything you wanted to?
No, I'm agreeing. I'm listening to you because I've heard that. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And even especially if it's the first or second stage cancer, something that is very simple for the body to actually reverse, get rid of. But to have that biopsy and all of the things that are in that cancerous tumor released back into the bloodstream, where it is, the fear is because if it's released back into the bloodstream, then those cancerous cells and those toxins and poisons can spread throughout the body.
Mm.
They can just immediately spread throughout the body. And that's why you're told that you immediately must go on chemotherapy. Now, this young woman, I don't believe, and I could be wrong, but from reading the history, I don't see where they treated her properly after they did made this snafu, after they um, after they gave her these two biopsies. Um, they took the cells, set them in the laboratory. When they returned to the laboratory, which I'm assuming was several hours later, they discovered that the cells were still alive. They were still viable, and they were amazed and shocked and all of that, because human cells, when they're removed from the human body, then they die within a few hours. And that had been their experience. But now
Mm.
here they have this biopsy with these human cells that are not only, that have not died, but they are thriving and growing. And so now we have what can I say? I don't want to use the wrong words. Now we're in a position for exploitation and experimentation. Let me just say it like it is. Now we're in a position, and they never ever said anything to her pertaining to this. My question now, I'm going to throw a little something in the mix. Um, and you'll know why, because I'm going to bring it up to today. She had cervical cancer. they finally discovered that the difficulty was that she had cervical cancer. So then these cells that came from her cervix, these were immortal cells. These were cells that had been used. They were used in the polio vaccine. They were used, they've been used for many different types of cancers. They
Mm-hmm.
have been used for HIV, the the cocktail that they make for HIV, they have been used for that. The Heller cells have been used for so many things, including COVID-19. So when we get the COVID-19 vaccine, we are also getting an injection of the Heller cells.
Whoa.
And the HPV vaccine that they say prevents cervical cancer has the immortal Hella cells. Now, my question is, if it was her cervix that contained the immortal cells, so forth and so on, and those cells are still alive from 1951 to 2024, why is it that those cells could not have been used in a why couldn't they have been used to uh to save her life?
Mm.
Why is it that something could not have been done with those cells to prevent the spread, the metastasis of those cells throughout that body? And we don't even know if they metastasized throughout the body. We just know that she died uh, within that year-long period after they discovered the immortal cells and took the biopsies from her body.
Mm.
And so John Hopkins is where they discovered the cells, and then where they took them, and they're using them in genetics.
Oh.
Oh yeah, yes, they are using them in genetics. Her cells are being used around the world. They were sent to scientists and researchers around the world in 1951. And as you can see, they're still sending them around the world and yet using them today. And had it not been for a young lady, I say little because, as you don't know yet, but as we get old enough to be grandmothers and great grandmothers and all of that, then we call you all little girls. Uh, I think a 50-year-old woman said to me that I am 40. I said, that means you're a teenager.
Wow.
But they have sent those cells around this globe and never told the family. And it was
Mm-hmm.
a young, and since we're talking about Black women's health, so I'm going to say this young Caucasian girl who was some type of journalist or something. She discovered the story and wanted to write a book. And she went to the family, and not realizing that the family had absolutely no idea what she was talking about and knew nothing about what had occurred. And this is how we found out this great woman. So now they're calling her, let me see if I can get this right, the mother, of modern women's health.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And
this is
so,
what they're calling Henrietta Lacks.
yes, yeah, I found in one of the research papers that I was reading over. They were saying that this was this is she was called the mother. That's only because they're using her cells in genetics. They're using her cells very heavily in research, in genetic research.
Okay. I
Yeah,
was just looking it up. I see it. Mother of modern medicine. Yeah.
thank you. Okay, mother of modern medicine. There we go. And I thought about this. I thought about this because, pardon me, excuse me.
Hmm.
You can tell I didn't come off that fast. Right, right.
Oh.
I'm telling on myself I didn't come off that fast. I was supposed to be doing super salad and I wanted an egg. And so this mucus is the consequence of, you know, me indulging myself.
Oh, no comment. As my sinuses drain, no comment. You're good though. Go ahead.
And so that's back history. And so we can say, okay, that was in 1951. Surely we have progressed past that as Black women. But of course, we know that we have not, that we really have not. Pardon me, please. We have
That's all
not
right.
progressed. And when we look at the hmm, the numbers that they kind of throw at us as far as Black women, how many die in giving birth
Hmm.
annually, they say 700. But as you read on, and if you kind of peek at it, you'll see that the number that is touted after that is hugely larger than that 700 Black women that die in childbirth. And uh, it states that, of course, we more Black women die annually in giving birth than white women. And then when we go to breast cancer, now you would imagine and you would think that more Black women get breast cancer than white women, would you not?
You would think, correct.
Yeah, you
Yes.
would think, but they do not. White women get more, Caucasian women, I don't know if that sounds any better, but Caucasian women, more of them get breast cancer than we do, Black women. Yet, more Black women, I think it's 2 or 3 times more Black women die from breast cancer. Now, I would be, in my mind, I say that one of the causes of that death, that this, that uh, that number, that 2 to 3 times more deaths in Black women. One of the reasons would be because we think the only remedy that we have is to get a mammogram, and then we trust in that mammogram. But mammograms are very faulty.
Mm.
Mammograms give a lot of false positives and false negatives. And not only that, if you have a tumor, we all know how the mammograms work. The mammograms, let's say you got to have a balloon in there. That balloon in there is going to burst. It's going to burst from the pressure of that mammogram. Well, that's a tumor. That's the same as a tumor being in your breast. that
Mm.
pressure from the process that the mammogram uses. If there are soft tumors there, then they can be literally burst. They can literally burst, and the same thing would happen as in a biopsy. If it bursts and it has cancer and with their toxic chemicals in them, then those cancer cells with the toxins are going to spill out into the bloodstream, and they're going to spread through the body.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that we're not aware of as Black women is that a mammogram is not the only test that you can take. There is actually another test, there's actually another process that can be done that actually identifies cancer cells, breast cancer cells, before even a mammogram does. And it is more accurate and it is non invasive. And
Is that
so I know everybody's got their pen and their piece of paper ready for me to tell you what it is, and I am not. I am going to tell you, look it up, do the research yourself. Then you won't lose that piece of paper, and from now on, you will remember when you go and they say mammogram, you'll say, "No, ma'am, give me such and such." So that's your homework and your work.
I was just about to say it out my mouth. I guess she's forbidden me to say it, but there. Can I at least ask? Does it begin with a T?
Yes.
Okay, I'm on the
Mhm.
right track because that's what I normally get.
Yes. Good.
But
Very
yeah, it's if you guys let me do this. We're at the bottom of the hour. If you guys are just not joining us, this is our monthly health and wellness segment. But this
good.
month we have been featuring and honoring women during Women's History Month. And so today is no different because we're talking to Dr. Hill. And I just read her nice bio at the beginning. And our focus today is talking about the health disparities um, amongst Black women. And she gave us a little bit of background talking about Henrietta Lacks. Many of you know her. And as we've already, Dr. Hill has stated in her intro there, that she's the mother of medicine. I believe I had that right. So this is something that we need to talk about and discuss. I'm asking each of you when you come in, please go ahead and click the share button, likes, the hearts, the care button, throw it up for us. Tag individuals in because again, this is I've heard more about it during this month. Probably, maybe I don't know. Sometimes they hear you, they know what you're talking about, so they'll throw stuff out. But I've seen it in the news. Seem like more now than anything talking about the disparities that we are facing in the healthcare system as Black women, and then as women in general. I not getting what we need, not getting what we need, and so sometimes some people think, and there's no sense in me going to get checked out or whatever because they're not going to do what they should be doing for me. So we're talking today, getting the background on it, hopefully get some help. And if you guys have any questions that's related to today's topic or anything else health and wellness related, go ahead, throw it into the comment section, whether you are on Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook. We will try to get to those for you on today. And I do recognize you guys that are on Instagram. I didn't call your name, so but I appreciate you, Maya, Dr. Paul, Zaza, I believe is over there, and some other names. So thank you so much for joining us on today. Again, anything health and wellness related, anything related to today's topic. Men, I do not want you to say, oh, they're only talking about women, so I'm going to exit stage left. Do not do that because there are women in your life, whether it's your mother, your sister, wife, special friend you have in your life. I don't know. But it will affect you as a man. You don't want to see your loved one, your female loved one, in pain or not getting the assistance that she needs, health wise. Okay. And I'm sure you're going to do what you can to make sure that she's okay. So take down your notes. Dr. Hill just gave you each of us, well, I already knew the answer. She gave us a homework assignment. It's for, she talked about the breast cancer. And I'm just recapping for those who are joining. So she talked about breast cancer and talked about the mammograms, things that mammograms will miss. Um, this other procedure that you can get or you should get will be good for you, and it could actually help to detect cancer prior to mammograms. And I've been told that. I have been using that going for that technique myself for a while, and it's less invasive. My God, I love it because, well, okay. Yeah, I like the procedure. I was going to talk about all the stuff you go through with the mammogram. If I do this, y'all know what I'm talking about. All right, Clark Gray, I see you. Phyllis Rogers, I see you. Thank you for joining us. And again, thank you for those of you who are tagging individuals in. If I didn't call your name yet, it's because I don't see. Oh, Nicola, hey, sis. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate you. Please make sure you tag. So, Dr. Hill, where do we go from here? So, you've given the homework about the breast cancer, the other procedure you could do to detect breast cancer, aside from mammograms, that you should be doing. Um, okay, if you're telling them to have homework, what's going to happen if they don't find it?
Well, then the ladies will still be getting mammograms, and some of them will experience incorrect diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen what an incorrect diagnosis can do, even with Henrietta Lacks. She went almost that entire year. As a matter of fact, I don't believe that they found what her true diagnosis was until she went to Johns Hopkins.
Wow.
So a wrong diagnosis, and I have two very good examples. Modern day within, I would say, 6 months, modern day examples.
Wow.
Because I will say this, that so then you're saying, what will you get? You will get the satisfaction of knowing that you have some power when you go to face a doctor or a test in this
Mm-hmm.
particular area. Because one of the things that we don't believe that we have is power. And I always say this, let me do this disclaimer. I am not against doctors. I am absolutely not against doctors, good doctors. I believe in working with doctors. And so, especially if we're trying to assist the same person, the same body, then I think that I should be aware of what they have prescribed, what it is that they are saying needs to be done, and they need to know what it is that I am saying and doing also, so that we can do this thing together.
Work together. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so let me say, with that being said, there is racial, let me see, what do they call it? What is the phrase? Medical
Disparities.
racism. Medical
Oh.
racism. Yeah. In America, we do have medical racism. And sometimes the biases are not even recognized by those doctors that are in, or those student doctors that are in medical school, because
Mm-hmm.
they are so deep and so entrenched.
Mm.
And so I'll give you one. Now, this is not for a woman, but there are other instances like this for a woman. But this is the one thing I've heard over and over and over again. And I've heard my Black men say, I say, well, what about your blood pressure? what are your numbers? Has your doctor said? And they will say this, oh, my blood pressure is good. I said, really? What are your numbers? Oh, they usually run about 140, 140 over 90 or 140 over, whatever. And I'll say, and why do you think that's good? My doctor told me that's real good for a Black man. Yeah.
Yeah, when they want
And
to
yes, and here recently I've heard Black women say, oh, that's real good for. And I say no, because then that means that they don't even think of their numbers being too high until they're like 160, 180, 200, and then they run to the emergency room. But that 140 is more deadly because your numbers should never be over 120. And when the highest they should be is that 120 over 80. And so when they go higher than that, then your heart begins to enlarge.
Mm.
And your heart is a muscle, and it acts like that rubber band that you're stretching and stretching and stretching until there is no more elasticity. And now it does not work. And so that muscle, it stops being that muscle that pumps that blood, water, nutrients throughout the body.
Mm-hmm.
And so here you are thinking your you're taking your blood pressure, you're monitoring your blood pressure, and you're thinking, oh, I'm good. Yeah, I'm 140. I'm 139, and
Right.
I'm good, but you're not good. And you're
Mm.
wearing out, not only are you wearing out your heart muscle, but you're also deteriorating or damaging your kidneys. And you're also damaging your nerves. And you just start a cascade of things, and not to mention the side effects from the medication. But it is also, those are biases that our doctors are taught. What does that mean? Because that's one of the questions I ask. Well, what does that mean? That's good for a Black man. How is your heart different from a white man's heart? What does your heart do differently? How is it designed differently than a white man's heart is designed? How is your kidney designed differently than a white man's kidney? So for you, what does that mean? Uh, my number that my doctor told me that's good. I mean, saying it with an attitude. my doctor, my doctor said that's good for a Black man. And I'm saying, okay, so then he's putting you in the same category with the alcoholic, with the drug addict, with the so and so, the so and so. I just kind of have that conversation with him to
Wow.
just kind of make a light bulb come on. And so there are a lot of these biases. Did you know that all of the research money that has been given to these hospitals for um, cancer research? Did you know the research was not being done on Black women?
Mm.
And so then the treatment that for years and years and years now, the treatment that was given was what would have been given to a white woman or a Caucasian women. And just we were just thrown in the mix.
Wow.
And it hasn't been long ago that they realized that our breast cancer is different from the Caucasians, from the Asians, from the indigenous, our Indians and all of that. Our breast cancer is different. And so it
Oh,
could not be treated the
okay.
same
Hmm.
as these other women.
Can I ask you something? I want to I want to actually stick a pin in that.
Mm-hmm.
But someone asked earlier, who was that? Let me go back to it because that just brought us full circle back around to this question. Phyllis Rogers did ask, can you repeat the homework assignment? When you start talking about breast cancer again, that reminded me.
Okay.
Can you repeat the homework assignment? But then I want to ask a question about what you just said.
Okay. The homework assignment is for you to find out what is the alternative test or exam that you can get other than a mammogram. It is not invasive. It is more accurate, and let's see, it's more accurate, it's non-invasive. Um, it certainly isn't as painful. That's for sure.
That's good.
And it identifies if there's a tumor or cancer cells, it identifies them much earlier than the mammogram does.
Okay. All right. Hopefully that answered your question. Let us know if it did not, but that's the homework assignment. So you basically, Phyllis, you're trying to find
What is that
the
test?
other procedure
Yeah, what is that procedure?
that you can get. You normally go for mammograms, but it's another procedure that you really should go for that will detect it um, earlier than mammograms.
Yes.
So let us know if that answered your question. Hopefully, those who are joining us, you will understand that assignment as well. Talking about breast cancer. Oh God, of course, I told you to stick a pin in it, and then I forgot what my question was. But I know some of the things that you were saying, it just kind of like amazed me when we talk about that. Oh, I know what it was. Thank you, Holy Ghost. You mentioned about the difference between Black women and breast cancer and white women and breast cancer, that they
Yes.
found that there's a difference now.
Mhm.
Can you expound on that a little bit more for me?
Our breasts are more dense. The tissue is more dense. And so let's say that your breasts, I'll let you be the white girl and
Mhm.
I'll be the Black girl.
I was about to say something, but go ahead.
And so the tissue in my breast showing up as denser. If I literally or actually don't know that Black women have denser, more concentrated tissue, then I can literally misdiagnose something that I see in that breast because of that denser tissue.
Oh, really?
Yes, yes. And that is where some of the misdiagnoses come in. And that is where a lot of the crazinesses come in, because if I am researching, let's say I am researching why these children, why they're why they're uh, why they're misbehaving, why they
Hmm.
might be misbehaving, why they may not pass the test. And so, and then I have another group over here, and I am not taking into consideration, I am not looking into the fact that they're not getting enough rest at night. If I'm not looking into the fact that they're not eating breakfast before they leave home, if I am not looking at the fact that because they're not eating breakfast, they're going across the street and they're getting all of these food stuff that has MSG in it, that
Hmm.
changes the functionality of the brain, that makes them more violent, that makes them that more restless, that makes them more irritable, but I'm comparing them with these children over here. And so I am saying that these children here, that they are less manageable, they're uncontrollable, they're fidgety, they're violent, they're angry, they're all of these things. And these children over here, the ones that have breakfast, a
Mm.
good breakfast before they leave in the morning, the ones whose parents are not working the night shift, and so they go to bed they have a scheduled regiment for going to bed and getting enough rest, so forth and so on. All of these, I'm not factoring in any of these disparities over here, any of these things that are going on in these children's lives, yet I am comparing them with these children over here who has a totally different
Yeah.
background. And so, and that's what has been being done and has been done for eons. And so then it ends up being, now, then we end up in experimentation mode, because now the light has been shown on the fact that these Black women have been getting all of these treatments all of these years. They've been getting these diagnoses all of these years, and yet there's been no research. Where did all the money go? Where
Wow.
did the money go? And how is it that you were treating me like you were treating this race of women that have a different, that have different circumstances, situations, different tissue cells, so forth and so on? How is it that all of the money is going for their research, yet you are doing all of these processes and procedures and what testings and whatever on us? So then one is treatment and the other is experimentation. And
Wow.
so, and this is where we find ourselves when we talk about this new phrase. I don't know how long this new phrase has been undercover, and it has been being, tossed around in the medical field and research and all of that. This medical racism. I think I just started hearing it since COVID. And so then, and what's happened is there is a bias that is among doctors. And so they think, I always say, when you go to the doctor, and I'm glad you addressed men, because I say that you need, if your wife or whatever the case may be, has to go to the doctor because there are some things going on in that body that needs to be discovered, and all of that type of thing. You need
Mm-hmm.
to carry someone with you. You do not
Yeah.
need to go to face these doctors by yourself. You need to have an advocate. It's wonderful if it could be a man, but he cannot be a hothead.
Mhm.
He cannot be a hothead. But if you can have an um, intelligent, what else do I want to say? Level-headed, so forth and so on, person to go with you, because unfortunately, doctors will try to frighten you
Mhm.
into doing what they need you to do. Some doctors, not all doctors, some doctors are good doctors, but way too many. Over the years that I've been doing this since 1995, that's almost 30 years. And
Yeah.
and I have seen it way too many times that doctors, I've been threatened. They have threatened me and the mother that they were going to call their form of DCFS on us, take the children away, all of this kind of stuff, because I would say, no, you can't, no, you're not going to do that. No, no, that's not going to happen. They didn't come in here on dialysis. They're not going to leave out of here on dialysis, and all. So you have to, we have to be extra observant,
Mm-hmm.
and we have to listen more carefully, and we have to ask more questions. And because of fear tactics, as Black women, we go along with whatever is said.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I know
um,
you.
I
Wow.
will, yeah, I can give you an example so nobody that's on here knows this person, um, unless they pop on. But a gentleman and I were talking about, he brought up the subject that this that the younger generation of women, that they're missing some things, and they don't have the what did they used to call it, common sense.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't have and they never got mother wit. And I'm not being, I'm just saying the conversation
Right.
that. And what I told him was, uh I said the grandmother is missing. I said that woman that was in the family, or that they could go to talk to, I said they don't have that woman anymore. I said
Mm.
because these are young women, like, remember the king in the Bible, that when the father died, he was not the king, he was the prince or whatever he would be. But when the king died, he should have gone to the elders, but he didn't. He went to his friends.
Yep.
And so he ended up with getting the whole nation in trouble, because did not seek or follow the wisdom of the elders. And so that's this generation of young women. Their grandmothers are 30. And they haven't lived long enough to have the knowledge that they can pass down a to this younger generation of mothers. And
Yeah.
so this particular mother, um, when I knew of anything, she was already in the hospital, had the child in the hospital, and they had already done some horrendous things to this child. And I called her and I said, "What's going on?" And she said what was going on. And she said that the child we're talking about a real child. Um, I'm trying not to give too much information. And
Yeah.
so the child had a spinal tap, and they had the child on the strongest steroids that they would have been strong for an adult. And they had this child on massive doses. And I said to this person, I said, so then what was the diagnosis? I said, what is it that they're treating? She said, well, they don't know what's wrong. I said, you're telling me that they've given this child a spinal tap? They've had this child for weeks, almost a month, on the strongest steroids that they could even give, even if it was for an adult. And they don't even have any idea what they're treating the child for, what the cause of the symptoms are. I said, oh no. I said, no, no. Um, we had this conversation, had a conversation with another family member, uh, and I totally give me all of the medications.
Mhm.
Uh, I got all of the side effects, all of them that was reported the doctor's website, not on what they give us, but what they tell the doctors. And when I tell you the side effects they were frightening, they were debilitating, and they were side effects that would last permanently, or they would take you out of here.
Wow.
And I said, I need you to go call a meeting with these doctors. Tell them that unless they can tell you that this is what they're treating, that you need them to take him off of all of these things that they had him on. And when they start telling you they cannot do it and why they cannot do it, you pull out these side effects and tell them that he has already begun to exhibit the symptoms from some of these side effects, the ones where they say, if you see this manifestation, tell the doctor immediately so that they can take this child off. And I had to talk them through because they were really frightened, they were really afraid. But I said, no, well, what if they call DCF and they want to take? No, no, you have a list of side effects. I said, you have 40 side effects and from this medication that should have only been for an adult, not
Mm.
a child, an adult. And then they were going to put them on another set of for I think it was 30 weeks, another set of steroids, and of which they had not told her. They told her it would be for 30 days or something. But it was a nurse that said, "Come here, let me talk to you." And she was the one that told them 30 weeks. And I said, no. I said, tell them that you will not be transitioning him to this other unless they can guarantee you in writing that he will improve, it will make him better, such and such and such. And so we have this, it is with a lot of doctors, do what I say because you don't know what I know. And the fact of the matter is that your sister yeah, let her know. I'll call her back later. But you know, we're treated differently.
Mm.
We're treated differently from the time I had a young lady that was having a stroke. She was having visible, I don't know if I've said this before, she had the numbness on one side. And all of this, she drove herself to the hospital. They sent her out of there. That's against the law.
Wow.
If you are having um, symptoms of a heart attack, if you are having symptoms of a stroke, if you are having any of those manifestations, they are not supposed to sit you out in the waiting room, in the emergency
Mhm.
room. They're supposed to take you back immediately and put you on and begin um, all of that life support things that you need, whatever your symptoms and your manifestations are. And she came in, they sent her back out the door. She got to the car and called me. I was out of state with someone else, taking care of someone else. She called me back. I told her, I said, go right back in there. I said, go to that desk and tell them it is against the law for them to send you out of there and with the symptoms that you're having, and that they must begin to treat you. They did not treat her. They took her and put her in a hospital room and left her there. And I say, I will add to it to die, because not a nurse or anyone came to see about her.
Mm.
And so I called one of my prayer partners I called her and I said, I need you to go get her. I need you to stay with her for the next 3 days, because I need her to take this nutrient every 15 minutes for the next 3 days. I said, and I'm going to need you to wake her up during the night to make sure she gets it every 15 minutes. And so, and this, they would not have dared to send a Caucasian woman out of that hospital in that condition.
Yeah. So can I interject here, because you're bringing up something that I think is going to be important to mention here. When I asked you about this particular topic, remember I was referencing that social media influencer, the young Black woman that just passed. Because if you actually go and research, her name was Jessica Petway.
Okay.
Um, and many articles that they have about her now, they're saying they're urging Black women to be their own health advocates.
Yes.
And the situation that you just described, you encouraged
Mhm.
someone else to go and help that individual out, which was wonderful. So how do we? Because I want to kind of get back to that and ask how can we do that? How can we, as Black women, or what should we be doing to be our own health advocates? In situations, she had a misdiagnosis. Okay, Jessica
Yes.
Petway, only 36 years old. I think you mentioned about, of course, when you started out about Henrietta Lacks, she was only 31.
Mhm.
Um, and well, I guess this is like a similar thing, because I didn't know that she was misdiagnosed, but they said she died from cervical cancer, talking about Jessica. And that's the
Yeah.
same thing with Henrietta.
Mhm.
Um, how can we be our own advocates? For those who are watching now, those who are just not joining us, we're talking today again about the racial disparities in our healthcare for Black women. And I know I probably said that a couple of different ways on today, but that's in essence what we're saying.
Yes.
How can we be our own advocates? What should we be doing?
Well, the first thing is that you should make up your mind. You should realize that um, you can get a second opinion. You can get a second opinion. Never go to the hospital in a panic with the spirit of fear, because you will make the wrong decision every time. Now, if you have let yourself get to the point um, where you have no recourse but to go under the knife. I am just of the opinion, because I will say, okay, am I going to die within the next 3 days? And if they say, because sometimes they'll act, if you don't get this, if you don't start on this chemotherapy tomorrow, then there's nothing we can do to help you.
Mm,
Then you're going to die. Well, they don't tell you that in Illinois, at least, the only way that they can treat you with cancer is chemotherapy, radiation, and surgery. There is no other recourse
hmm
for a doctor to treat you except by those three means. And so when they say to you, there's nothing else that can be done, that's a lie. What it means is there's nothing else that they can do. You have a recourse.
Yep.
You always have a recourse. And if you have cancer and you didn't die over these last 5 years that you had it and you didn't know it, oh, well, you got some time. You got some time. Uh, Barring you, you have a window. You have a window, and you can extend your own life with the same thing that will heal your own body. And that is the right kind of foods. And how can I say that? I can say that because I'm just going to throw this in and then I'm going to go put myself right back on track. Um, I have worked with those that have been given 5 days to live. They've got 5 days to live. They put them on hospice. They put them on morphine, and they put them in a coma. And 5 days to live, 7 days to live, and those people, they have lived. Sometimes in one instance, it was the only child that walked out of that hospital, the only child that walked out of that cancer ward, children's cancer ward. And it is because sometimes the treatments that you have to realize we're talking about medical um, racism,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to know who you're dealing with, and you have to go
Right.
in with that mind. And so you have to go in with the mindset, not that they're a bad person, not that they're this. You just have to realize that they have certain racial biases have been trained into that doctor. It is a part of the system. And so you have to go into that, you have to have that mindset. And when you go in, you have to be aware of, you have to make sure that you have to ask questions. What is that medication?
Mm-hmm.
What is that medication for? Okay, what is the diagnosis, the prognosis? What is it that you're saying? What's wrong with me? Oh, we don't know yet. We have to run more tests. Then why are you giving me medication? What is this medication and what is it for? If you don't know what's wrong with me and you don't know, you have no idea how to treat me. And so you
Yeah.
must ask questions.
Ooh, I love that. I love your saying that. I tried to do like a little recap in the comments. Black women, please be your own advocate. As Dr. Hill said, don't go to the hospital or ER in a panic. Get a second opinion. Um, we have to do this. And I'll say this, I'll make mention of this rather. I was informed of a an associate of one of my loved ones who actually woke up one morning, was preparing to go to work, and she was a black woman, um, wasn't feeling very well, was having pains or whatever, and so she spoke with her spouse and said, rather than taking me to work, take me to the emergency room,
Mhm.
and did that. I don't know all that happened or um, transpired, but unfortunately, she did not leave the hospital that day. She ended up passing away. Young woman. It was so heartbreaking and heartbreaking, even the way that they um, did the spouse. It's so much, that has to come out of that. But um, she definitely was not, she wasn't treated correctly. And, I don't know what could have happened to change that around or what have you, but that hit a nerve that struck me. I cried. I didn't know the person, but that bothered me so bad how she was done. And to wake up, that morning and then you're not there, on earth any longer.
Can,
So
can,
go ahead.
can I say this? Can I add this? If something doesn't seem right, if a nurse or a assistant or someone just does not seem, something doesn't seem right, you have a right to say something. You have a right to say, I don't want that nurse back in my room, or I don't want that doctor to treat me, or I don't want this. I lost my goddaughter and my mother, both in the same manner. They put the
Mm-hmm.
wrong medication in their IV. Did
Yeah.
not realize it was the wrong medication until it had been all day. And the next day they went into a coma and they never came
Never
back
came out.
out. You have a right. And then I always say, take someone with you.
Yeah.
I always say, take someone with you. Somebody that has a level head, somebody that knows. They may not know medical whatever, medical jargon, eh, nuances, all of that kind of stuff. But if they have good common sense, they'll say, "Oh no, that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right." And I always give this advice: if the doctor tells you, "Oh, we have to do surgery, we have to do this, we have to do that," I always say, ask them, okay, can we do this in 7 days instead of today or tomorrow? Can we do this in, and then give your body what it needs to make some repairs? Because it may be, I had two young ladies, you've heard me say this, two young ladies. Um,
Mm-hmm.
one called me afterwards, one called me before. When she called me, she had already had the surgery. She had already gone home with two colostomies, an upper and a lower, large intestines, small intestines. She had these two major surgeries and was sent home. When
Mm.
she told me what her symptoms were, I said, "You sounded like you were constipated. Did- You sounded like you were constipated." Do you know what she said to me? That's what I thought. That's what I thought when I went to the hospital, but I was in so much pain until I until when they told me they saw a blockage in my bowel, until I constipation just went out of my head, and I thought, oh my God, I have a blockage. And then they're telling her that you need surgery immediately because we need to remove this blockage. And she wakes up with uh, a colostomy in upper and lower
Mm-hmm.
intestines, when all she needed to do was have a bowel evacuation.
Wow. See.
Now, I think it was a week later, another young lady called and she said, "I'm at the hospital." And she said, "I'm in pain. I'm having abdominal pain." She said, "They said that I have an obstruction, a bowel obstruction, and they want to do surgery immediately." And she said, and the doctor went out of the room, and the doctor comes back in the room. And so I said to her, I asked her a couple of questions. And then I said to her, "When's the last time you had a bowel evacuation?" She said, "I think I'm constipated." I said to her, "Tell your doctor uh, to give you 7 days. Tell him, instead of your having the surgery immediately, tell the doctor to give you 7 days. Can you stay in the hospital for 7 days and give you 7 days?" I said, "And then you can have the surgery after the 7 days." She said, "Okay." We had a friend bring her a raw vegetable juice every day.
Mm.
At the end of the 7 days, she didn't have a blockage anymore. She had her bowels had evacuated, and they told her she no longer needed the surgery, and they sent her home.
Amazing.
And so that's why you have to be your own advocate. Take a friend
Yeah.
with you. You always need to have somebody already prepared. You know, if I go to the hospital, if I get sick and something happens, could you, you know, could you, an adult child, something,
Mm-hmm.
and always ask questions. Okay, well,
Right.
you're giving me this medication. What is it for? Why is it? What's the correct spelling? Give me a list of all the medications you say that I need. And then you call somebody and tell them to get on the internet and find out what this stuff is. And not you're not looking for the little stuff that they put on the back of the bag at the
Mm-hmm.
pharmacy. You're looking for what they tell the doctor. You're always looking for you're always putting in dangerous side effects, deadly side effects. You're putting in those things so that you know what these medications do. And then you say, well, okay, well, what is this treating? What is it that you say I have? And most of the times what our problem is what we have put in our mouth. It's a knife and a fork.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And so then you just have to not fear. You can't be afraid when you go, and that's a hard thing to say. But you have to
Yeah.
realize they say practicing physician for a reason.
Yes.
They are practicing on us,
Yeah.
and it
I
is our
agree.
responsibility. Yeah, we have to know that we have to be our own advocate.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, because they already don't know as much as we know. We know ourselves, we know the symptoms, we know the background, the history, and all of that. We know how long we've been feeling this way. All the doctor knows is what he reads when he runs in the back room after you tell him your symptoms. He either goes to the computer or he goes in the back room and pulls out a book and he gets some information from there, and then he comes back out and tell you we're going to try this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, practicing medicine. That's what they're
Yes.
doing. And so if
Yes.
they give you a certain um, prescription for something,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
number one, you're going to have side effects on the side of the bottle. And
Yes.
then they're going to tell you, let me know how this works for you. or,
Exactly.
or
Exactly.
or tell me what did it make you dizzy or whatever? And then
Yeah.
you say, yeah, that's gonna go on the side of the bottle too for future.
Yes. And and when you start when they the reason they're asking you, have you had any, when they start asking you questions about a medication that they have put you on, they're asking you these questions because they know that after you have been on this medication for so long, these are the side effects that you will have that lead to these organ failures. And so that's when they change the medication or they add a medication. And I know way too many people that have, one gentleman was on 22 medications,
Hmm.
22, and they had him on a water restriction. So he
Hmm.
was taking 22 medications a day and couldn't drink. He couldn't even drink a liter of water a day. So that meant kidney failure and whatever else, toxic, the uh, the bloodstream being toxic, and just all of those kind of things. 18 medications, 17 medications. Well, all of that comes from not treating the person, but treating the side effects that were caused by the medication that you were taking before. And so then you must know when you're dealing with medications. One of my little girls, 5 years old, they started giving her a medication from the day she entered the hospital. They started giving her a medication that should not have been, that the FDA says that that medication could not be used on anyone under 19 years old. She was 5.
Mm-hmm.
And from the day she walked in that hospital, they began giving her that medication because they were trying to help the pharmaceutical company get that medication on the market for children as under
Wow.
19 years old. And so you have to ask questions. You have to ask why. You have to ask what, and you have to know when. And then you cannot be afraid to say, listen, I need a second opinion. The second opinion should not be suggested by the hospital. Because they're going to say, well, we're going to help you. We're going to help you find someone for another doctor to give you. No, because
Mm-hmm.
that doctor's only going to tell you what the doctor the doctor that you were previously, or um, the one that you're talking to right at that moment, they're going to tell you the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they're going to
Mm-hmm.
do is read their charts and whatever. You need a doctor from another hospital, another
Yeah,
facility, and one that is not in the same consortium.
that's
So,
good.
yeah, one that is not in the same consortium, one that does not have any, they don't have any, I'm trying to think of an old folks term.
Well, as you're thinking about that, I was thinking because a lot of them work together with each other, especially in these different doctors' offices.
Yes.
Um, yeah, I'll just tell personally, and we have to do this not only with our physical health, our mental
Mhm.
and dental health as well. Um, my, can I say this? Yeah, because then nobody know where I go. Anyway, so there was a dentist that I was seeing, and well, this dental office, should I say, and they have a number of dentists within there. And one immediately said that they wanted to refer me to a specialist, and I can't think of the name, whatever. And I'm like, okay, where you coming with that? And it seems like they would all that particular dentist would always try and push this specialist on me. And so
Uh,
I'm like, and then they were like, I was like, well, can I get a referral from somebody? Or can I get another referral or someone else or check it out myself? Is what I asked. Oh yeah, you can, but well, I know them. Yeah, I knew that. That's what that was. So yeah, I
yeah,
must guess. Well, we won't even go into all that. But anyway, I advocated. I'm like, no, I think I want to check out. Get another opinion. Um, for myself, and that was concerning my dental health. So um, thank you for saying that
yeah.
and sharing that with us. I do see some more of you that come on, even on Instagram. Thank you. I see you, Base Nation over there. Thank you for coming in. Blue Day Wilson says hello. Thank you so much for coming in, joining us on today. And I think I saw Wendy. I think I saw Wendy come in and Brandy, and she did greet us. I think she said she's going to be kind and rewind, she says. So yeah, we would appreciate if you would do that. I know many of you. Oh, and Shanna, I'm sorry. Is it Shanna Gordine? Honey, please forgive me if I'm mispronouncing your name. She said, "Good afternoon, Queens," and I appreciate you guys for jumping in on today. I know many of you are coming in now. You may have to look at the entire segment at a later time. We appreciate you for joining us on today. This has been a great conversation talking about the racial health disparities amongst Black women as we are continuing to acknowledge Women's History Month. Was there anything else that you want to share with us before we end on today, Dr. Hill, that you did not get a chance to?
There is, and this statement is going to be for those that are born again, and those that have not yet made a decision to be born again. I would not go to the doctor without uh, first putting some time in prayer, because it is the Holy Spirit that leads us and guides us into all truth. And
Mm-hmm.
that little 5-year-old that I talked about had liver cancer. She had liver cancer, and they had
Mm.
given her 5 days to live. And the doctors, um, they wanted to give her this particular medication. They laid out the treatment and everything. And so I asked them, I said, what organ clears that medication? And they said, the kidney. I said, well, doesn't that mean if that organ clears the kidney, that the kidney is going to be damaged by the clearing of that medication?
Mm.
And they said, well, yeah. They looked a little strange because they didn't expect that question. And so I said, and then what are you going to do after you damage the kidneys, seeing that she already has liver cancer? Oh, we'll just put her on kidney dialysis. And so you have to not be afraid of their faces. You have to, and that's where the prayer comes in,
Mm.
because the Holy Spirit will lead you right where to go. And that is what happened in that darling's case. I told them, I said, she didn't come in here on kidney dialysis. When she came in here, her kidneys were working. And when she walks out of here, her kidneys are going to be working. Find something else. And so,
Wow.
and that is, and see, and that came from uh, putting that time in prayer and getting some information from the Holy Spirit. And that is your best. That is your best route when you're dealing with people that think they're smarter than you and think they know more than you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. All right. This, I'm telling you, I enjoyed this conversation on today and this information that you've given us. As a Black woman, I appreciate it. I
Mhm.
appreciate your insight and all that you've done to help us out down through the years. So we bless you and continue. One God continue to work through you. If you guys have come in, maybe in and out, and you did have anything that you wanted to ask Dr. Hill, you can go ahead and throw it into the comment section or inbox her if you want to, but you can also visit her website, which is on the screen, mophetHns.com. Go to mofaithns.com for if you want to book a consult, you want to buy any of her products, resell products, or you need any more life-saving techniques, as Brandy sometimes will say, please visit her website on today. Do not delay. This is what she does, and we already gave her accolades at the beginning, all that she's accomplished so far, and things that she's doing to
And
help.
thank you. Thank
Oh,
you.
you're welcome. You're welcome. You know, all that she's doing to help the body of Christ. So we just appreciate her for everything she's done. We're going to get out of here, guys, and I am going to play for you promo for tomorrow evening. Now, I will let you know. Yes, there are two shows that I had scheduled for this week. Of course, today with Dr. Hill with Health and Wellness, and tomorrow I'm doing this special segment, which is going to end the month of March, acknowledging women's history. And I'm excited about this panel. I've been excited about all the women, as I've already stated, that I've had on the show. Tomorrow, I'm going to have a panel of about probably 7 or 8 women. This group of young women, they are, and I know they love for me to call them young, 50 plus year friendship. 50 plus year friendship. Sometimes you can't get people to hang out with you that long. Over 50 years, they have been friends and sisters. And so we wanted to recognize them during Women's History Month. So tomorrow evening, I need you to join me at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'll play the promo so you'll see it, but I have been circulating it. And so I'll play it again for you. But please make sure you join me. We won't keep you long. I know this is spring break week for many of us. But if you can just log on with us and help us to celebrate as we are exiting out of the month of March. We're going to continue to recognize women, though. I have been throughout this entire month. I say every once in a while in my head, I'm so glad I'm a woman. I'm so glad I'm a woman.
Yeah, I am too. I am too.
I mean, we have whatever, we deal with, but I am glad I'm a woman. So, and I'm glad this month has been set aside to recognize us and our contributions. So, tomorrow night, 6:30, guys. So let's take a listen to this as we end on today. So thank you all again so much, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, for joining me on today, for your input, for just watching. Some of you just kind of slid on in there, were just listening and didn't put a comment or question, which is fine. Thank you for joining us on today. Dr. Hill, we'll see you soon. We appreciate you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you
You're,
for
go
having
ahead.
me. No, thank you for allowing me to be able to, uh, I want to say beat up on and love on. Let me change that. Thank you for allowing me to love on your audience.
All right. Well, we appreciate you. They may not say it, but we do. We do. And we will remember who to call when we need you. All right, Dr. Hill, thanks again. As she's exiting, guys, again, I'm going to play the promo for tomorrow evening. Again, I need you, as many of you that can, meet me tomorrow evening, 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, virtually, of course. And we'll see you soon. On the next session of Get Caught in a Net.
Get caught in a net with Annette. For your mind, body, and soul gets caught in a net with Annette. It's your intellectual radio show, here to inspire you and encourage you to be your very best. Get caught in a net with Annette. Get caught in a net with